Tonight on the News Hour. 29 years on, Kano Trovan's vaccine survivors struggle for justice. Nurses call off nationwide strike action after 4 days. And in Niger State, reaction trails Governor Bago's closure of radio station. And on the foreign scene, South Africa arrests 1,000 illegal gold miners. Good evening and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Kano. In 1996, during a deadly meningitis outbreak in the state, a controversial drug trial by U.S. pharmaceutical giant Pfizer sparked outrage. Now, several children died as a result, and many others were left with permanent disabilities. What was meant to be a medical intervention turned into a decades-long struggle for justice. Nearly 30 years later, survivors say they've been sidelined, undercompensated, unheard, and largely forgotten. Some now live as adults grappling with trauma, physical deformities, and a system that failed to protect them. In this special report, Ibrahim Musa revisits the haunting legacy of the trial through the eyes of the victims who still bear its scars. His report.
It's been 29 years since a drug trial meant to save lives in Kano left behind a trail of pain, death, and permanent disability. Pfizer's Trovan vaccine, tested during a 1996 meningitis epidemic, was administered to over 200 children, but many never lived to tell their stories. Those who did, like Rukaiya Salisu, are still carrying the scars.
Likita ya faɗa musu cewa ƙashina ne shine ba shi da ƙwari. Wannan allurar ita ce nan ta lalata min ƙashina da ba shi da ƙwari.
Doctors told my parents my bones were weakened by the injection.
JS2 wallahi suka tiddan.
When I was in JS2, I got hurt and I was treated at Dala Orthopedic Hospital. My father died when I was in JS3, leaving me with my mom, and I continued school using crutches, later switching to a walking stick.
Rukaiya is one of the faces of a medical tragedy that shook Kano and sparked international outrage. Others like Aisha Suleimanu were left with permanent mobility issues. Nura Muhammad, now 33, is entirely dependent on his father, unable to walk or speak clearly. In 2007, the Kano state government and victims sued Pfizer for $2 billion, but in 2009, Pfizer settled out of court for $75 million. Despite this, victims say justice still remains a mirage.
I
received parts of the compensation, but due to my physical challenges, I struggled to move around and pursue education like healthy people can.
I stopped at secondary school due to life challenges. I'm currently unemployed and depend on my parents, whom I constantly pray for.
Of the over $75 million settlement, $35 million was earmarked for direct victim compensation. But a complex verification process, DNA tests, and alleged political interference meant many victims were sidelined.
The agreed settlement was $135,000 for each affected child. Only $7,000 was given to each of 347 affected children. We can't say for sure the total number of those affected.
In 2013, 186 victims filed a fresh lawsuit claiming breach of agreement. Their cry that those who suffered be fully accounted for.
Many children, including mine, died. It's as if even the living have no peace. We urge authorities to help both the living and compensate the families of the dead by ensuring justice.
We spend so much on taking care of their health, and I have one appeal to all those in authority, especially the government of Kano, to help us.
Today, many live in poverty, some blind, others deaf, while some have passed on. For those survivors, the effect of denied justice is lived every single day.
Quite a traumatic story there. Well, moving on, the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives has officially suspended its 7-day warning strike action 4 days after it began. The national president of the association, Haruna Mamman, made the announcement during a press briefing in Abuja on Saturday. Mamman says the decision followed an emergency virtual meeting of the National Executive Council where members reviewed a signed memorandum of understanding. He revealed that the federal government has committed to a time-bound implementation of all 9 key demands presented by the association. The suspension comes a day after the association's leadership met with a federal government team led by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Muhammad Pate. In other news, following recent attacks on communities in Faskari and Bakori local government areas of Katsina State, about 5,000 persons displaced are currently seeking refuge in Bakori town. Most of the victims, predominantly women and children, arrived with no belongings and are now relying on government support and public donations for their survival. Trust TV's Abdullahi Amadi visited one of the makeshift camps in Bakori, the headquarters of Bakori, for this report.
As of 8 a.m. when Trust TV arrived, anxiety and desperation hung in the air. Children could be heard crying for food, while their mothers looked on helplessly. Over 5,000 displaced persons had arrived in Bakori nearly a week ago, fleeing their communities without food or shelter and leaving everything behind in the face of relentless attacks by armed bandits. The refugees come from Guga, Kandarawa, Jargaba, Ungwarlamido, Kakumi, Doma A and B, as well as Kwai and Ruangodia in both Bakori and Faskari local government areas. The stories they shared were filled with sorrow and trauma, recounting harrowing attacks that forced them from their homes in the middle of the rainy season. Now crammed into classrooms, the displaced persons, especially children and the elderly, are facing serious health and sanitation risks. Aid is being distributed by local government officials, religious bodies, and good Samaritans. But for many, the future remains uncertain, with no idea where the next meal will come from. Despite their gratitude for the support so far, the victims are united in one plea: the immediate restoration of peace, so they can safely return home. The story of how we left our communities is heartbreaking. We arrived here with almost nothing, but thankfully, Bakori local government and kind individuals stepped in to help. They have given us food, cooking utensils, and shelter. We are very grateful. Our only prayer is for lasting peace in Katsina. The leaders entrusted with the responsibility of securing our lives and property should urgently address our plight. As citizens, we have done our best to respect and support them. Tell our leaders not to abandon us in the middle of this crisis.
All we are asking for is peace. Our husbands and children are being killed, and we, especially the women, are being humiliated daily by bandits. We are confused and overwhelmed. We appeal to the Katsina State government and all relevant stakeholders to come to our aid.
The Bakori Local Government Council has taken full responsibility for these displaced persons. We are providing adequate food and shelter. and will continue to do so until they are able to return home. We hope that day comes very soon. This comes as the Kano state government emphasizes that banditry is a community-based crisis that requires a community-driven solution. Authorities are calling for genuine commitments and participation from the affected communities to bring an end to the violence. Despite efforts from multiple stakeholders, residents of Kano continue to bear the brunt of the insecurity, with many wondering when relief will finally come. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Well, elsewhere, in broad daylight, attacks on Karfi and Lai Minister communities in Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State. 5 people were reportedly shot dead by bandits on Friday after resisting abduction. The separate attacks occurred shortly after Friday prayers. A woman and 2 others were abducted from Karfi and Lai Minister communities during the assault. 1 person was killed in Karfi, while 4 others were gunned down in Lai Minister. Eyewitnesses say the bandits, who rode on motorcycles and disguised themselves as passers-by along the Malumfashi-Funtua Road, opened fire to scare residents before launching their attack. When contacted, the Katsina State Police Public Relations Officer confirmed the attacks. However, he stated that only 2 people were killed and 2 others abducted in Karfi and Lai Minister. The police also confirmed the killing of a member of the Civilian Joint Task Force during the response to distress calls from Garangozai, Dantashi and Manna communities. And in neighboring Zamfara State, Governor Dauda Lawal has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to ending insecurity across the state. He assured residents of immediate military deployment to Banga village, where 38 abducted residents were brutally killed in captivity. The governor gave this assurance through a high-powered government delegation led by his deputy, Mani Mumini, who visited Banga and 4 other troubled communities in Zamfara State. The report.
During the visit, the deputy governor reiterated that the state government maintains its position of not negotiating with criminals. The delegation was also in the area to console grieving families and distribute relief materials and financial support to victims in Kaurandamo, the local government area. According to updated records, on April 9, 2025, armed bandits stormed Banga village in Kaurandamo, the local government area, abducting 56 residents, including 3 pregnant women. The kidnappers demanded 1 million ransom per person. Families were only able to raise money for 18 victims who were later released, mostly women. Tragically, the remaining 38 captives were forced to slaughter each other in captivity, a horrific development that has sparked widespread outrage and grief across Zamfara State. The deputy governor, Mani Mumini, said the government's visit aims to calm tensions and reassure the affected communities of ongoing effort to improve rural security and protect lives.
We actually visited 4 communities, as you said, and the reason behind it is we come to condole with them on the recent accidents. You know, bad people like bandits attack these villages, which result the death of almost 21 here, and I think 7 in 507 in Unguriki. We actually come to condole with them and to bring assistance to the family of the disease.
The Emir of Kaurandamo, Major Sanusi Asha, retired, expressed appreciation for the government's effort to address the worsening insecurity. He also clarified that the abduction took place on April 9, not in February, as previously misreported.
Actually, the information we have There's a lot of increase in the banditry, and we're trying all our possible best to create some of the modalities and see how we can overcome it. And we really appreciate the federal government for sending a delegation to at least tell us sorry.
Relief materials and financial aid were distributed to families in the 5 affected communities, all of which had suffered attacks by armed bandits.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has affirmed that the armed forces are reevaluating their strategies to prevent bandit attacks on communities in Plateau State and other areas under Operation Safe Haven. Operation Safe Haven, with headquarters in Jos, the Plateau State capital, is a multi-security task force maintaining peace in Plateau and some parts of Bauchi and Kaduna states. General Musa disclosed this during his operational visit to the task force headquarters in Jos on Friday, following the recent attack in the Riom local government area of the state that claimed 27 lives. He emphasized the need to adapt military tactics to the asymmetric nature of the ongoing conflict and urged community leaders to mobilize youths to identify and isolate criminal elements in order to prevent widespread unrest and sustain peace. General Musa also called for a renewed sense of responsibility among commanders and vowed to hold anyone found negligent accountable, while promising to strengthen operational capabilities through enhanced logistical support. To Niger State now, where Governor Muhammad Umar Bago has come under intense public criticism following his directive to shut down Badegi FM radio located in Minna, the state capital. The decision by the governor sparked widespread outrage among residents and media professionals who have called on the governor to tolerate constructive criticism and uphold press freedom. Here's the report.
The governor had announced the shutdown of the station on the ground that it was inviting the public to violence.
He's promoting insecurity in Niger State. His utterances are treasonable. Therefore, we have sealed that station with immediate effect. The Minister of Information, we are writing you formally with a complaint of his anti-peace and also treasonable incitement of the public against government. Therefore, his license, if he has a license at all, must be revoked.
Although the State Commissioner of Police is yet to enforce the shutdown order, the Niger State Urban Development Board on Saturday marked the premises housing Badegi FM within the Nigerian Television Authority compound in Minna for demolition. The move has deepened public anger, with many questioning the legality and motive behind the action.
This is very unfortunate. It is an affront to rule of law entirely, because the rule is very clear. If you have anything against a news agency as Badegi, a private one per se, you petition the NBC, that is Broadcasting Commission, and then they took an act. Because we've seen it done even with Daily Trust when Daily Trust published a statement and there was a committee set up for that regard. So on the entire note, the governor has no right and has no power. Such is an act of tyranny per se, and in total, this act is entirely condemned.
What is he afraid of? Why is it saying that the media should be shut down, especially the radio station, where mass majority of our population depend on this radio station? Our mothers, our grandmothers, our fathers at home, they rely on this kind of radios because some of them don't have Android phones. So they rely on radio. What more, because a radio station report banditry issue in your state, you tag them as threats?
An investigation by Trust TV reveals that this is not the first time media practitioners have faced harassment under the current administration in Niger State. In November 2023, 6 months after Governor Bago assumed office, the Commissioner for Homeland Security, Brigadier General Bello Abdullahi Mohammed, retired, reportedly assaulted Voice of America reporter Mustafa Nasiru Batari at the government house in Minna. The journalist had sought the commissioner's comments on a violent clash between Fulani herders and Gbaji farmers in Beji, Boso local government area, a conflict that resulted in loss of lives. When he approached him at government house, the commissioner allegedly hurled verbal abuse at him and attempted to seize his audio recorder. In another incident, in January 2025, the Niger State correspondent for People's Daily newspaper and chairman of the Correspondent Chapel of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Yakubu Mustapha Bina, was detained for several hours by the Department of State Services over a report on bandit attacks. Also, in April this year, Mustapha Bina's phones were seized for 3 days and detained for several hours by the Criminal Investigation Department of Nigerian Police. His detention followed a direct criminal complaint filed at the Minna Magistrate Court by a government aide who alleged that Bina shared an article critical of the special advisor to the governor on print media in WhatsApp groups without verifying the authenticity. Abubakar Akote, Trust TV News, Minna.
Well, in a related development, the Ministry of Information and National Orientation says it has taken note of concerns raised by stakeholders in the media industry regarding the recent directive by the Niger State Governor to suspend the operations of Badegi FM, a radio station in Minna, the state capital. According to reports, the Governor of Niger State, Muhammad Umar Bago, issued the directive during an expanded Niger State APC caucus meeting in Minna on August 1st, where the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, attended. While acknowledging the concerns raised, the ministry notes that the suspension of broadcasting licenses falls within the purview of the National Broadcasting Commission as stipulated by the Nigerian Constitution. Well, in light of this development, the ministry said it welcomes the decision of the Niger State government to formally report the perceived, quote, unethical behavior of Badegi FM to the NBC for resolution. The minister, in a statement on Saturday by his aide, Rabiu Ibrahim, appealed to all parties to remain calm, assuring that the NBC has the necessary mechanisms to resolve the issue in a fair and impartial manner. Occupants of the federal housing estate in Bauchi State are calling on the federal government to intervene after officials of the Ministry of Housing issued a 48-hour eviction notice without prior warning. Some residents say they invested heavily in renovating the houses before moving in and have described the sudden eviction order as unfair and insensitive. Here's Trust TV's Adamu Imam with the rest of the story.
Residents of the estate say they legally acquired the houses through the facility managers under the Federal Ministry of Housing, following standard rental procedures. According to them, they woke up to find eviction notices pasted on their doors, with claims that the Nigerian Air Force had reached an agreement with the federal government to purchase the entire estate.
As we are here, so many of us are civil servants, some are public servants, some are businessmen, you know. So our plea here is that today, we now get to understand that the ones of Bauchi State, they were trying to sell it to the Nigerian Air Force. Or they have even struck a deal with the Nigerian Air Force. That is our concern. Why Bauchi alone? Why Bauchi State alone? Not other states.
He stated that if the government truly intends to sell the houses, the current occupants should have been notified in advance and given the opportunity to purchase them if they can afford to.
When they want to consider selling this house, we are the occupants and we came here, we took the risk. When this place is being vandalized on daily basis, you understand? We took our family, we left town, we came and reside here with our families without any barrier. We are naked, if you can see the place, no fence, nothing. We took that risk, we make this place lively. You understand? So that is our cry. At least if they want to save this place, they should contact us.
We genuinely have an interest in living here. That is why we invested our money to settle in this place. We had the means to purchase these houses. In other states across the country, things are not like this. Why then in Bauchi State? Would the federal government sell off properties that were meant for civil servants? There was a time when soldiers came here in large numbers and caused panic among our families. They stormed into houses, and in the chaos, some people were injured. Some women even suffer miscarriages. Why should this happen?
Actually, I'm using this medium to plead to federal government that they should just please, at least we too, we are human beings, and we are belong to federal government also. So they should just have patience and have pity on us, because we don't know, we don't where to go. We don't have where to go. If you have where to go, we will not stay here. It's because of problem that brought us here. So they should just please have mercy.
Some of the officials who pasted the notices declined comments during the protest held within the estate. In response to the allegation of a secret sale to the Nigerian Air Force, the controller in charge of the Federal Ministry of Housing in Bauchi said the protest lacked merit, as residents have no concrete evidence to back the claim. He added that he was acting based on directives from the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
You're watching the news hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Police arrest school security over gruesome murder of caregiver and toddler in Abuja. We have details on this and many more stories up ahead. Join us again. Welcome back to the news. Let's take another look at our top stories. 29 years later, Kano Trovan vaccine survivors still struggle for justice. Nigerian nurses call off their nationwide strike action 4 days into a 7-day warning strike. Now, the Emir of Katsina, Abdulmumin Kabir Usman, has announced the creation of 6 additional districts within the Emirate. A letter from the Emirate Council signed by the Emir says the creation of the district areas and subsequent appointment of district heads followed a directive from the Katsina state government. The district areas and the appointed district heads, according to the letter, include Sani Kabir Usman as Karshin Katsina and district head of Shinkafi, as well as former Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika as Marusang Katsina and district head of Shargalli, among others. The appointments take immediate effect as the date for the turbaning ceremony is to be announced at a later date, according to the statement. While congratulating the new district heads, the Emir of Katsina State urged residents to be prayerful, vigilant and proactive in the current fight against armed bandits in the state. The FCT Police Command has arrested a school principal, a chief security officer of the school, and a security guard over the gruesome murder of a school nurse and a 14-month-old pupil, despite collecting a 3 million naira ransom under false pretenses. The FCT Commissioner of Police, Saka Adewale, revealed the shocking incident took place at Clear Hope Foundation Academy in Dawaki, Abuja, describing it as a cold-blooded act that violated every code of human decency. Here's the report.
The prime suspect, David Moses, a security guard assigned to the school, was arrested and confessed to orchestrating the kidnap and murder along with an accomplice, Sunday Irimeye, who is currently on the run. According to CP Ojo, the victim's 55-year-old school nurse, Chinyere Anaini, and toddler, Nainita Asha Yese, was declared missing on July 23, 2025. On the same day, the nurse's husband received a ransom demand of 250 million naira from her phone, which was later reduced to 3 million naira. Shockingly, the suspect had already killed the victims before collecting the ransom, while forcibly assuring the families that both were still alive.
On 23rd of July, 2025, the command received a distress report concerning sudden disappearance of Mrs. Chinyere Ananene, a 55-year-old school nurse and a caregiver, attached to Clear Hope Foundation Academy, Dawaki, Abuja, and a toddler identified as Naneta Asa Yese, aged 1 year and 2 months. On the third day, the husband of the caregiver received a call regarding the disappearance of his wife. And the call demanded for a sum of 250 million ransom to set her free, confirming that she's in their custody.
Moses revealed that he lured the nurse into an ambush where she was strangled by Sunday, who had been hiding in a toilet. Under pressure from his accomplice, Moses later brought the child, who was also murdered. Following the ransom handover, a dispute over the proceeds led Sunday to stab Moses and flee with the entire sum. Injured and desperate, Moses eventually sought medical help and confessed to the police.
What brought me here? I killed a child with a teacher, a great teacher, and this a Clear Hope School on the 23rd. So me with my friend, we demanding for ransom of 250 million. Later on, we come to settle on 3 million. When we collect the money, when we are sharing the money, my friend now, that was where we have an issue. My friend now stabbed me with knife and took the money and ran away.
Zachariah Fonyi-Folua, a representative of the private security firm that employed Moses, admitted to serious lapses in their recruitment process, including the failure to properly document the suspect's employment or obtain guarantor information.
On Wednesday last week, the principal of the school called me around 4:51 p.m. So she called me that the security in the school is nowhere to be found. And immediately I rushed down to the location. When I got there, I met many people in the school. And after that, they told me that the nurse and a baby, 14-month-old baby, is missing. So from there, we went to the police station and I put down my statement. And after that, we have been looking for David and the other people. That is what I know about it.
So, do you know anybody called Sunday?
I don't know anybody called Sunday.
Police investigations are ongoing and efforts are being intensified to arrest the fleeing suspect, Sunday Eremeya. The FCT Police Command has meanwhile assured the public that justice will be served and called on schools and security firms to adapt strict vetting and monitoring procedures to prevent similar tragedies in the future.
Well, in other news, one person has reportedly died while two others sustained bullet injuries following a clash that broke between natives of Kuchibi community in Buari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory with police operatives in the area. A resident of Kuchibi, Samuel Dangana, who confirmed the incident on Saturday, says trouble started when some land grabbers in company of some police operatives from Biazing Division invaded the community and attempted to take over a parcel of land in the community. He said the natives, upon sighting the security operatives, mobilized to barricade the road in order to prevent the alleged land grabbers from accessing the plots of land. He said altercation ensued when the natives in their large numbers and wielding sticks and stones confronted the security operatives, arguing that in the ensuing melee, the security officers started shooting tear gas canisters and live bullets. Dangana says the two injured indigents of the community are receiving treatment at a hospital in Buari town. The councillor representing Biazing and Kuchibi ward of Buari Area Council, Dogara Ahmed, also confirmed the development, saying one person had died while two others have sustained injuries during the clash, even as he said he's yet to get a full detail of the incident. When contacted, the spokesperson of the FCT Police Command, Superintendent Ade Josephine, said some suspects were arrested following a civil unrest at Kuchibi village in Buari Area Council over land dispute in the area after the command received a distress call. To Oyo State, where the state government on Friday arrested 14 persons for operating illegal shanties and engaging in unauthorized sale of diesel on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The executive assistant to Governor Seyi Makinde on security, Sunday Odukoya, retired, who led the state's special task force to the area, confirmed this to newsmen during the parade of suspects in Ibadan, the state capital. Odukoya stated that beyond selling adulterated diesel, they were also involved in various illicit activities in the area. He revealed that the suspects would be prosecuted in a mobile court under the supervision of the Rule of Law Agency. One of the suspects, Bolaji Mustafa, confessed to participating in the illegal diesel trade, but claimed he was unaware of any prior warnings from the government.
We discovered that a lot of times along that route, we used to see corpses of human beings. At times, the head will have been removed, part of the body off, and it's very, very touching. And we have seen that these crimes have been perpetrated by people around those areas, and instead of giving information to the police, they refuse. And we said, okay, enough is enough. We've given them more than enough time to clear all these their shanty and stop selling adulterated diesel on the road. Once they do this, it gives the road users a lot of problems, and at the end, they will still be the one to rob and vandalize their vehicles.
Those men are selling bikes from trailer, so I will sell it for another motor.
When you buy from trailer, how did you process it before you resell to other vehicles? You have been accused of adulterating these diesels. How true is that?
No.
Say the truth.
No, we used to supply this market to companies or maybe tipper. So we have a customer, or maybe they are coming from Lagos, those tankers drivers. That is the person they used to give us the market.
Elsewhere, at least 10 illegal miners were arrested on Saturday morning in Uyanga Forest, Akankpa local government area of Cross River State. The operation was carried out by the Cross River State Anti-Illegal Mining Committee and Task Force, led by Chairman Paul Effiong. The suspects, unable to present valid licenses or prove they were operating within approved coordinates, were handed over to authorities for prosecution. Equipment used in the illegal operations were also confiscated. Effiong reaffirmed the state government's zero tolerance for illegal mining, vowing that enforcement will continue statewide undeterred by big masquerades backing the criminal operations. The Borno State government has launched the Maternal Mortality Reduction Innovation Initiative program to combat the high rate of maternal deaths in the state. According to the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, over 60,000 maternal deaths were recorded globally this year due to pregnancy-related complications. Borno State Commissioner for Health, Professor Baba Malam, emphasized the importance of innovation and collaboration in transforming the healthcare sector, particularly in underserved communities. The program aims to provide support to pregnant women, preventing complications during childbirth. UNICEF donated 3,700 mama kits containing childbirth essentials, aligning with their mandate to protect women and children. It urged stakeholders to support the initiative and work towards achieving its purpose.
The initial support is for the high burdens LGS, which are 13, but we are also asking partners together with the government to ensure that we don't forget the other states, because we do not want the other states to relapse, so that they can also be high burden maternal mortality rate LGS. So UNICEF, together with the partners, will provide commodities We are already providing vaccination support. We are already providing health workers support. We are already providing capacity building for the different units of Ministry of Health.
About 10 ambulances were, commissioned by the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Fateh, for the state emergency medical services and ambulance system. Now, these ambulance systems are specifically to convey pregnant women to the nearest health facility to avoid the delay in taking pregnant women during childbirth, because this is one of the major causes of maternal mortality.
Now, as Nigeria intensifies efforts to address climate change and halt the spread of desertification, the National Agency for the Great Green Wall has initiated a large-scale project to plant 50 million date palm trees across desert-prone states in the northern region. Our correspondent reports that the official launch, which also marked the 10th anniversary of the agency, was held in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. Here's the report.
Under the theme Sustaining the Momentum of NGGW's Contribution to Environmental Sustainability, the event brought together environmental experts, policymakers and stakeholders from across the nation. The Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, was represented at the event by the ministry's permanent secretary, who joined NGGW Director General Saleh Abubakar and the Jigawa State Deputy Governor Aminu Usman Gumal, representing Governor Umar Namadi. In his keynote address, the minister described the 50 million date palm initiative as a transformative environmental strategy that will not only combat desert encroachment, but also improve livelihoods, restore ecosystems, and boost biodiversity across vulnerable communities.
This significant milestone allows us to reflect on the journey we have undertaken in our relentless fight against desertification, land degradation, and drought in the Sahel region. Together, we can forge a path towards resilience and sustainability, nurturing not only the land, but also the communities that depend on us.
One of our greatest strengths has been the active engagement of local communities, traditional leaders, state governments, and development partners. Their ownership, participation, and support have played a pivotal role in the implementation of our projects and programs.
Jigawa State is one of the frontline states most affected by desertification. Is also intensifying its own environmental recovery efforts through the AgriSal project. The deputy governor disclosed that more than 5,000 hectares of degraded land will be restored across all 27 local government areas of the state, using various climate resilience techniques such as shelter belts construction, sand dune stabilization, grazing reserves, and agroforestry.
Since inception of this agency a decade ago, born out of the desire and urgent need to confront a silent crisis creeping across our lands, desertification, land degradation, and our desert degradation, and our climate change. For us, in the frontline states like Jigawa, these are not abstract problems. They are live realities. Every year, we lose fertile land and desert encroachment.
We are gathered not only to celebrate a decade of National Agency for the Great Green Wall, but also to launch a transformative initiative, the planting of 50 million date palms across frontline states, including our dear state. This is not a small task. It is a generational effort, and we flag it off. We are not just planting trees, we are laying down roots of resilience, regeneration, and reform.
The event also featured an exhibition of environmentally sustainable products, including organic food, herbal remedies, and green household items. A symbolic tree planting ceremony at the Jigawa Government House kept the event, officially launching the ambitious date farm campaign that aims to reshape the ecological future of northern Nigeria.
President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigeria's digital content creators and young innovators to harness their influence with integrity, creativity, and a strong sense of patriotism. Speaking at the Digital Media Summit held in Abuja on Friday, the president highlighted the transformative power of digital media in shaping national development and fostering civic engagement.
The president Nigeria's youth as the architects of the future, urging them to move beyond fleeting trends and leverage their platforms to solve societal problems, create jobs, and build a nation.
New media is no longer an accessory to our national life. It is fast becoming a central driver of economic growth. We will not lose focus on cybersecurity. Every Nigerian has the right to be protected in both the physical and digital domains.
President Tinubu also emphasized that patriotism should go beyond slogans or political gestures, calling for tangible contributions to the collective good. Reaffirming his administration's commitment, Tinubu assured the tech and creative community of sustained investment in digital infrastructure, innovation funding, and universal internet access. On cybersecurity, he stressed the importance of building trust in digital spaces as a foundation for inclusive and sustainable growth.
Let your leadership be defined by integrity. Let your digital footprint reflect the best of our nation. Let your actions speak of a generation that did not wait for permission to lead. Step forward with your courage and with clarity.
In a goodwill message, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, highlighted the significance of the summit in promoting responsible digital engagement.
Our presentation goes to underscore where we should direct our political coordination and strategic efforts. However, social media is not a fair battleground. As a public square, it is often chaotic and unregulated. Users frequently disregard rules, divisive content is rampant, deepfakes and artificial intelligence-generated content are increasingly used against political opponents.
Shegun Dada, the special assistant to the president on new media and convener of the summit, noted that the digital platforms have evolved from tools of personal connection into powerful engines of communication, innovation, and national influence.
It is just not a conversation. It is a call to action, a call to policymakers, educators, entrepreneurs, technologists, and every citizen who believes in the power of self-government. Let us unveil not only the role of social that plays in national development, but also responsibility we all share in shaping it for the greater good.
Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, commended digital media practitioners who continue to represent Nigeria positively on the global stage.
Talking business now, the Plantation Palm Owners Forum of Nigeria has lamented the imposition of produce tax and levy on certain agricultural commodities by state governments, saying that the tax is antithetical to food security in the country. The national chairman of the forum, Emmanuel Ibru, stated this while speaking with newsmen shortly after the forum's meeting in Benin City. Ibru, who is also the chief executive officer of Aden River Estates Limited, averred that the imposition of produce tax on farmers would negatively affect food prices, especially palm oil in the Nigerian market. He advised that instead of produce tax, governments across the country should provide an enabling environment for farmers to thrive by assisting them with easy access to land, inputs, and security to enable them increase their production. He noted that Nigeria, which is the highest producer of palm oil in Africa and the fifth in the world, needs to increase its cultivation to about 500,000 hectares for it to meet the local needs and also become more efficient in production. On the international scene, South African police say they have arrested more than 1,000 undocumented migrants working in gold mines in the northeast of the country. A spokesperson for the police for Mpumalanga province, where the week-long sweep took place, says there could be more arrests because there were still illegal miners underground. The police operation, which started on Monday, targeted clandestine mining near the village of Barberton, close to the borders of Eswatini, and Mozambique. The Sheba mine is owned by Barberton Mines, which said in a statement that earlier this year there was an outcry from the community and employees when Barberton Mines retrenched workers as the mine was unprofitable and facing closure. The arrests come less than a year after a similar operation conducted near the town of Stilfontein, west of Johannesburg, where at least 90 clandestine miners lost their lives before their mines were definitively shut in January. As in the Stilfontein operation, police near Barberton surrounded the illegal mine to prevent suppliers entering, forcing those inside to come to the surface. Floods and landslides triggered by Tropical Storm Whipper since last month have killed 6 people and affected more than 230,000 people across Thailand. This is according to the disaster management officials on Saturday. Since July 21st, heavy rains have inundated 12 provinces, mostly in the northern and central regions, according to Thailand's Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation. Images on social media showed murky floodwaters, sandbags stacked outside homes and residents using plastic boats to navigate submerged streets. However, the kingdom's meteorological department predicts rainfall will ease in the coming days. While Thailand experiences annual monsoon rains between May and October, scientists say man-made climate change is causing more intense weather patterns that can make destructive floods more likely. Widespread flooding across Thailand in 2011 killed more than 500 people and damaged millions of homes across the country. Talking sports now, Nigeria's D Tigers have qualified for the final of the 2025 FIBA Women Afro-Basket Championship, beating Senegal 75-68 in a keenly contested semi-final in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Nigeria battled hard to win against 11 times champion Senegal, leading the first and second quarter. Senegal turned the tide in the third quarter, outscoring Nigeria 21-9 points to seize control of the game before the D Tigers fought hard to win in the fourth quarter. The victory keeps Nigeria's dream of becoming the first African team to win 5 consecutive Afro-Basket titles. To Adamawa State, where Governor Amadou Umaru Fintri has honored Super Falcons coach Justin Madugu with a 3-bedroom bungalow and a cash reward of 50 million naira, celebrating his incredible leadership in guiding the Nigerian Super Falcons to a victory at the 2025 Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco. Trust TV's Gibson Swadigo has more in this report.
Coach Madugu, a proud son of Adamawa State, was celebrated with a hero's welcome at the government house in Yola. Governor Fintri praised his patriotism, technical brilliance, and unwavering commitment to achieving national glory. The governor expressed immense pride in the Super Falcons' remarkable performance, securing Nigeria's 10th WAFCON title.
Thank you, Coach. We will continue to partner with you. We know the talent
that God has endured you with. You can still give more to our country because we're in need, but use a little of it to also come back home and work with our local coach so that we can nurture some of the young talents we have, and they can now be feeding the country in a way that they will also add to the history of Nigeria.
In a speech, Coach Justin Madugu shared his heartfelt gratitude to the governor and the people of Adamawa State for the warm reception and recognition of his contributions to the advancement of national sports. He highlighted his honor as one of the proudest moments of his career, emphasizing Adamawa's significant impact on national sports with over 20 athletes representing Nigeria in various national teams.
For me personally, I took it as a challenge to ensure that I not only do well, but pave way for others that will come after me tomorrow. Because if I do well, they say he's from Adamawa tomorrow, and they appoint another person from Adamawa, nobody will doubt the capacity or the capability of such a person because of what we have done.
In a further display of commitment to uplift the youth, Governor Ahmed Murfintri also announced an increase in the monthly allowance for National Youth Service Corps members serving in Adamawa State, raising it from 20,000 naira to 30,000 naira. This was revealed during the swearing-in ceremony for the 2025 Batch B Stream 1 orientation course at the NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp in Damari, Giri local government area. Gibson Soadugu, Trust TV News, Yola.
And that wraps it up for News Hour on Trust TV. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Do well to stay in touch by following us across our social media platforms. For the latest news, programs and documentaries, head over to our website, trusttv.com. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time and good night.